Good morning, small players, and happy Tuesday. Another fun day for us in the market yesterday. I hope you were in the chat room and trading, or trading independently, learning how to trade independently, etc. Because the market is providing a lot of volatility now, and with volatility comes opportunity. Okay, so the first stock on the scanner is SBEV. Um, I'm going to, we were trading this morning, so I'm just going to start the chart fresh so we can draw the levels again ourselves. So one level that sort of stands out is this level of 1.6. We have two big rejections there, one bounce, and then drop below that, triggering shorts, one rejection, and then move above that, triggering a squeeze. So a big level. Then we can maybe do this level here. Well, that level is just being formed, so I'm just going to keep this 177, which is the high of this candle, and then rejection here. Then we can do the closing, the opening price of this candle, and then the high of day. It's also currently forming 5-minute flag now, which would be break above 180. So here we can do the high of this candle is 171, so that's technically the trade that we did, which is bounce on the high of that candle. So you did a perfect bounce. Could also wait for bounce on VWAP. If it's hot, the hotter the stock is, the sooner it will bounce. So it will bounce on a higher level of support. And once it starts coming down, you can start slicing through them to bounce on a lower level of support. So it's important when you take higher levels of support to still have good risk management, but to be aware that it's easier for higher levels of support to fail. So the higher the level that you take, the riskier your trade. So plan that accordingly when it comes to your position size. So perhaps not time to be super aggressive with the position size. And then also just be aware that those sort of setups only really work while the stock is really hot. So you still want the volume to be high. You want to be seeing those big orders come through on tape, etc. This 180 is a very strong wall. It's very hard for it to break it. Once it breaks above it, we should be able to see a squeeze towards high of day, because the more it hits it, the more we see how big of a wall it truly is. Something to note, this is now one rejection of 180. This is a second rejection. We can check on the 1-minute chart to see if we have, we've sort of had 3 rejections already, because this is 1, 2, 3. 3 rejections of the same level of resistance are a short setup, because basically what ends up happening is long bias traders try to push the price above that price point 3 consecutive times. We exhaust our buyers. There's no more buyers to push there. Buyers sort of give up also and take their profit. And short sellers see that weakness, so they reopen new positions. So normally, even after you're in a trade and you take your profit and you take your partial profit, once I see 3 rejections, the students in the chat room know, I just get out of the trade and I'm like, I'll wait for the next one, because once you have 3 rejections, you can have a bad flush. And for us, for this high entry, technically, because it's on a higher level of support, even if it flushes only to VWAP, that's still a flush below our entry. And you don't want to give money back on a trade that you planned properly and executed properly, right? So this one's still holding for whatever. Well, probably the reason it's still holding is the fact that there's not that many stocks on scanner this morning. So probably every long bias trader is trading this one and still buying it up. But technically looking at the chart, this should have failed already. Trying to bounce on that level of 171 again. Our entry was the first bounce. This is technically a second bounce. Second bounces are still valid. Third bounces on support we don't take. Third bounce of support, similarly to third rejection of resistance, is a short setup, basically because of the same thing. The more you test support, the more buyers get exhausted because they buy at that level and then there's no buyers left. And when short sellers see that buyers are that weak that it keeps dropping to that level, the third touch of it is their confirmation that we're weak and they get in. Okay, that's it for this one. We spent quite a lot of time talking about it, but it's the highest volume gapper for the day. and probably, will be trading quite a lot. We can also see what the news is. Okay, this is big news. One of their drinks is going to be sold in Walmart. Okay, great. The next one is PETZ. This one I saw yesterday because it had quite a terrible day. So what it's doing today is a dead cat bounce setup, which I like trading dead cat bounces. It is cheap, but it's not so cheap. It's close enough to $1. So it dropped 80% in one day. Pretty remarkable. Oh, I thought they had bad news. They don't have news. So why did they lose 80% of their company value? And that's December. So the holds yesterday. Excuse me. Okay, I mean, they had a bad. Okay, so that's probably what's happening. They had a bad earnings report, pretty bad earnings report. They're a Chinese company. We know most of those are going to end up being delisted because of the new legislation. So they're probably just being shorted to oblivion. And we can check what the float is. And it has a tiny float. So this one can actually, today is a nice day for this one to squeeze a little bit because obviously everyone got on that shorting party yesterday. Something to note though, when we talk about short squeezes, short started shorting here at 3.5. So, unless you have a short seller that started shorting here, shorts don't need to squeeze until we get to this price point, which at this point might never happen. Probably will never happen. I don't think the stock is ever going to go back there. Because technically, look, if you have an 80% drop, you need to go up 300%. But, never say never because it's a low floater, so it can squeeze. And we've seen squeezes of 1,000% in one day, let alone 300. So maybe it will go back up to that price. But regardless, speaking of the short squeeze, it's something important to remember because you see a lot of inexperienced traders saying, shorts have to cover, shorts have to cover. Shorts don't have to do anything. If you started shorting here, you've made 80%. There's no reason for you to have to close the position. The only time shorts have to cover is when the stock price goes above the amount that they have in the brokerage account to maintain their margin and they get margin called. And that's how we get short squeezes. But if they are 80% in profit, they're not closing anytime soon because they have to. Now, on that note, dead cat bounces are a very popular setup that we frequently trade. What happens in a dead cat bounce is you have long-term investors that are starting to buy some shares to average down because they're getting destroyed. And then their buying starts squeezing out some short sellers that entered lower. You had someone that shorted this when it broke below 0.8, right? Look at this move. Someone shorted this from 0.8 to 0.7. Other short sellers never closed, right? So now when it starts going above 0.8, it's causing pressure on them, right? Probably a break above 0.9, looking at this candle, could cause the next squeeze to 1, and then break above 1. Obviously, such a key level. A lot of short sellers will have a stop there. Even short sellers that are in profit, even short sellers that started shorting here, they might be 80% in profit, and they might be holding some shares, in case they get more into profit, and then they put a stop loss to protect their profit in case it goes above a certain level. So this has a squeeze potential. It's just important to understand what causes a squeeze. You need to get some buying, and you need to get enough buying to go above price points where short sellers are going to have stops. The higher you get, the more massive the squeeze will be because more shorts will have a stop there. This seems to have, every 10 cents we seem to have a level, right? So looking at it, break above 125 is probably a level where we can expect a more significant squeeze. Anything before that, we're probably fighting for 10 cents, which is not bad, you know, on a 80-cent stock. 10 cents is a lot of profit. So, you know, if it breaks above 0.9, we can trade it to 1. If it breaks above 1, we can trade it to 110. Breaks above 110, we can trade it to 120. If it breaks above 125, that's when we can maybe start opening up a little more towards 1.6. Let's see what else. 215. Yeah, so it's important to know that we trade level to level, right? We're not talking about we're going to be mooning from here to here. Maybe it'll bounce back here because you can trade a breakout, you can trade a bounce when it comes to test it. Then if it breaks above that, you can trade that. Drops down, you can trade a bounce, etc. Anyway, so that's that for PETZ. We can keep it, we can keep an eye on it. I love trading that cat bounces. Another thing for that cat bounces, normally they just move in the first, I want to say like half hour to an hour max in the morning. After that, they continue dying their slow death. Okay. TSRI, this one, this level of 12, really important. We were trading a bounce on 12 earlier. Almost got to high of that, and then short sellers really slammed it. We seem to have found the support on EMA 20 while we were charting, and now it's trying to break above VWAP. Break above VWAP can cause a squeeze again to this level of 12.5. 12.5 is a very big level. You have 1, 2, 3 rejections there. Drop below that, a massive sellout. So, you know, that's really the key level. Short sellers are really strong. If they start breaking above 13, we can finally see some, you know, true squeeze. Here, obviously, every time we break above VWAP, we see a squeeze momentum. And then 12.5 seems to be the level they're fiercely defending. But if they start shorting here and here, they have room until 13 to really start closing their positions for a true squeeze. BDTX. Nothing really to see here at the moment. If it breaks above VWAP, we can worry about it. PHIO. I like how this one bounced on EMA 20. And then we have this key level of 105. That's, you know, a strong support here. Breaks below it, stays as resistance for a long time. Now we're above it. So we sort of have that level that we can use for a stop loss underneath it. EMA 20 is right there supporting it as well. However, at this specific moment, because we're no longer in EMA 20, so we sort of missed that reversal trade, the only thing that we can do is either wait for a bounce on 105 and take that with a stop loss on 102 right before below EMA 20, or break above VWAP. CCNC. The volume is a little low on this one still to really get any idea about the chart. It's barcoding. But we see that this level of 105 again was big support. Now we're below it, so maybe break above that could trigger some sort of a squeeze towards VWAP. And then this level of 109, we have two rejections there. So break above that could be interesting as well. A lot of $1 stocks this morning, but it's okay. We trade what the market gives us. And the rest of these are just the volume's too low. Although I like this one. I like the volume increase action now. And there's a low spread, only 2 cents. Oh, I keep calling it RVP, and it's RVPH. And we traded this one yesterday. It seems to have dropped significantly overnight. Well, I suppose throughout the day too. We traded a lot in the pre-market session, and then it sort of just like fell into oblivion. So break above 325 is the first level. We can see a more significant squeeze based on yesterday's chart and where short sellers started coming in. And then break above 3.7. before we get to those levels, it's obviously squeezing now too, so we can just see we have this level 275 key level, this level here. So yeah, if it breaks above 3, that would be pretty big for it also. So we can keep an eye on this one. This could be interesting because short sellers had a field day with it yesterday. So today we might start, some squeezes. Okay, that's it, you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Happy trading.